What's up, everyone? My name's Lachlan Perry. Welcome to Author on Author Interviews. Today, I'm joined by Jansen Andre, an Ironman and chef who also happens to write books on nutrition and health. I met Jansen at a running group here on the Gold Coast called Mega Run, and I have to say, Jansen is one of the fittest guys I've ever known in my whole life. He can run laps around most of us runners, and many of us, including me, definitely look up to Jansen for inspiration. So I'm stoked to have him on my show today. As always, if you guys enjoy this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. Also, if you'd like to find out more about Jansen and these videos, you can find our socials below. But without further ado, I'd like to welcome today's guest. Thank you very much for joining me today, Jansen.
100%. Thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here and have a good chat. And yes, I remember meeting you for the first time, and you came along to the run and you punched out 10K your first time. It was actually inspirational for me to watch. You know, I don't go to those runs for myself, it's for other people, and seeing people push hard and you pushing hard really brought good joy, you know. And now look at you, now you're doing it more comfortably, and it's amazing to see.
Thank you, man. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Definitely an experience.
Yes.
So as I like to do in my other interviews, I like to ask a couple of questions about you as a person before we start kicking on your books. To start off with, when were you first inspired to become an athlete and really start getting into running?
I guess when I was first inspired to become an athlete was probably 5-6 years ago now. I was competing competitively in CrossFit down in Melbourne because I'm originally from Melbourne. And I was competing with my partner at the time, and she said, "Hey, why don't we do an Ironman?" And I said, "Yeah, sure, no problem." I did triathlons when I was a kid. Let's give it a go. And we kind of took up the training, started getting into it, and then we broke up. And then I continued on. The reason why I continued on was because I loved it for the mental aspect more so than the physical aspect, because when you're out there for that amount of time, a lot of thoughts come in, a lot of emotions, past events, feelings about relationships, friendships, decisions, business that you have to deal with. And because it's just you and your own thoughts. And the reason why I love doing endurance events and long distance stuff is because there's so much time out there with yourself and with your mind that you have to be strong to be able to overcome things and deal with them and process them.
Yeah.
And it's my sort of form of meditation, if you will, because I can go out and clear my head. That's why I never listen to music or anything while I'm running, so I can be fully connected to my body and my thoughts.
That's great. So tell us a bit about your background. Did you grow up in Melbourne?
Yeah, so I grew up in Melbourne. I moved to the Gold Coast a year and a half ago now. And I've been in the food and hospitality industry for the past 8 years, had food trucks, restaurants, cafes, and a bunch of other different businesses on the side. And my most recent was a cafe. And then we had a bit of a situation with what's going on in the world that we had to close down, and moved up to the Gold Coast and started pretty much from scratch again.
Yeah.
But yeah, my childhood, you know, I grew up with just my mum and my sister. Never had a father in my life, but my mum is, and still is to this day, my inspiration. You know, she's an entrepreneur. She's done every business, tried everything under the sun, and is always very successful. So I always will look up to her, as, you know, she raised 2 kids on her own and put us in private schools, was always taking us on holiday. So never really missed out, except for the fact that I've always felt like I missed out on that masculine energy and that father in my life. Yeah. So growing up, you know, going to an all boys school was quite difficult for me because I was a bit more feminine than the other boys. So I'd always be the one to get picked on and bullied and never really fit in, if you know what I mean. And that kind of got me into a lot of trouble because I pined for validation and for acceptance. So I changed who I was to be accepted, and that got me into a lot of trouble. You know, getting suspended and doing things so that I could feel like I was a part of the boys, if you will. And so it took one last time that I almost got expelled. And fortunately, I had a lot of teachers there that could see my potential and really believed in me. And I remember looking over to my biggest inspiration, my mum, in the office. And he said, next time, there won't be a next time. And I looked over to my mum. And I was working at McDonald's at the time. I was 16. So I was in year 10. And I looked over to my mum, and she had tears running down her face. And she said, do you know that job you have at McDonald's? And I said, yeah. She said, well, you can make it full time if you want, if you keep doing this. And for me, I was seeing my biggest inspiration in tears, and my mum, who had supported me. I couldn't look at that anymore. So I did a full 180 flip and stopped caring what everyone thought of me, and fully embraced who I was. Stopped really giving a crap. And, you know, I ended up getting top leadership year of award, got school captain, and everyone was really shocked because I was always the one getting in trouble. I was always the one mucking around, and the one that they would pick on. But then I fully embraced who I was and embodied that. And yeah, everyone was really surprised. So at such a young age, I'm fortunate to have learned a lesson, which some people probably still haven't learned.
That's a great story, man. I love it. So tell us a little bit about your mentality as an athlete. I know you're about to do a 250-kilometer race soon, which is insane. How do you prepare mentally for doing such a thing?
I guess for me, my sort of philosophy of life and what I try and live by and what I love is one body and one life. I do everything. I like to test my capabilities. I guess I'm only here once, and I want to see how my body reacts, so that if somebody asks me about something, I can tell them from my personal experience rather than what I've heard about. Or, you know, I like to be knowledgeable, but I like to have experienced everything for myself. So that the advice is actually, there is some validation and accreditation behind it, rather than listening to someone who actually hasn't done it. So I like to throw myself and push it to the limit and see literally what I am capable of and what my body is able to do. The mindset more for me is, I have a pretty strong kind of mindset when it comes to doing, you know, arduous hours. And I kind of say it's literally, it's temporary. Pain is temporary. It's a moment in time. It's going to be over in 4 hours. It's going to be over in an hour, or however long it is what I'm doing. So just focus now, and then you can rest later. So it's all good. So for me, I love pain. I love it so much because it's where you grow.
That's right.
I understand, and you got to understand that what you go through, you grow through. You have to go through pain. It's like any situation in life, not just in fitness. To grow through, you have to go through it to grow. You know, adversity isn't avoidable, but it builds character. Do you know what I mean? We all have to experience it in all aspects of life.
Yeah, that's great, man. So what's been key to your development as an athlete? Is it a mix of like good lifestyle and nutrition?
For me, I guess so. You know, kind of eating right. I'm recovering, you know, very quickly and well. And then also the mentality, like I said, I just love the bodies. Our human bodies were made to move, and I want to see what my human body is capable of. So I guess I'll literally try anything. But my mindset and what I do is, if I'm going to do something, I'm not going to half do it. I'll always do something 100%. And if somebody challenges me, like, I'll accept it. Like I'll go hard. So if you're like, oh, why only 250? Why not 300? And I'll be like, okay, let's do 300. What's an extra 50K? Like, whatever. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. That's amazing.
Don't say it. Please don't say it. Don't say it. If you say it, I'm going to have to do it. That's
I had the inkling to do it. So how do you manage your fitness? Do you prefer to like work out early in the morning or late at nights or something like that?
Yeah, for me, I'm an early riser, early to bed, early to rise. I get most out of the morning, and it's the best time for me because no one else is really awake. I get up at 3:30 and do my morning routine, and it's nice getting out there early because no one's around and it's time to yourself. You get out a little bit later, you start seeing people, they want to stop and have a chat. And
Yeah.
I like to just fully be focused and in the zone.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't compromise on movement every single day. I must do something, whether that's stretching or going to a sauna or, you know, doing like recovery sessions, not going hard, but whether it's just movement every day. I'll go crazy otherwise. And it has to be in the morning because otherwise I get agitated and I don't have a clear head and I don't make good decisions. Do you know what I mean? Like if I haven't done it, I'm like on edge, just waiting to sweat or waiting to raise the heart rate or move.
Yeah.
You get like that? You get frustrated if you don't do something?
Well, if I skip Mega Run, I get kind of irritated.
Every Sunday.
So final author related question. If you could do something different during your adult life to become a better athlete, what would you do?
If I could do something in my adult life to become a better athlete, honestly, I think it would be, and we could all do this, is be consistent with my sleeping. You know, I have the cross-pollination of working hard on my laptop, but then and doing my business orientated stuff that sometimes I sacrifice a little bit of sleep. In a perfect world, you know, there's so much to do as a human every single day that it's hard to balance everything with business and fitness and all that kind of stuff. I guess we can just do the best that we can. But yeah, if I could improve on something, it would definitely be more sleep. Yeah. I'm heavily getting back into my reading now, which helps me go to sleep. But yeah, just more recovery work always. It's just trying to find the time or make the time, really. I'm someone who has to work off schedules. If I don't have it scheduled in, I'll never do it. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. If it's not written on the whiteboard or in my Google Calendar, it's a question mark because am I going to do it? No, let's block out 8 to 9 to stretch, or let's, you know, otherwise it will never happen.
Awesome, man. So getting onto your books now, could you tell us a little bit about your writing and what you've written and sort of have gotten out there?
Yeah, so I've got a couple of recipe books out there at the moment. And they're all kind of, I'm about to publish another one using a publishing platform. And then I'm also about to release a hardcover copy because I want it to be a table, like a coffee table kind of book. So high end, nice finishing. But you know what? I love recipe books, but also, you know, I love talking about health and nutrition and having that as a guide for people to read and understand for how they can be the best version of themselves, with the key pillar, which is diet. And I believe that is a key pillar to, you know, everything in life. Is if you get your diet right, then your body's functioning properly, your brain's functioning properly, you can do things more efficiently when you're fully switched on. And that's all related to your diet. So I place a heavy importance on that in my writing. And, you know, yeah.
Awesome, man. So when and where were you first inspired to start writing these cookbooks?
To be honest, I mean, I've been in the game cooking for 8 years, and it's been a passion of mine to get stuff out there. But I only recently, do you know what I mean, have I actually pulled the pin and actually released a few things. It's been on. I wrote a couple of books five years ago, and I never published them. They're still sitting in my cupboard over here, actually, and no one's ever read them. I read them back 6 months ago, and I was cringing because you know, after 5 years, you've progressed, you've learnt more, and you're reading the information that you wrote 5 years ago, and you're going, oh, well, that's changed now, or that's here and that's there, and that, what for me, what that shows is I've actually developed in 5 years. Like if you look back at what you've written 5 years ago and it's all good, then what have you done in 5 years? You haven't really moved or new ideas. So I think it's good, even if you write something, you never publish it, but come back to it to kind of like jog your memory and how you've progressed from that sort of topic or whatever. Do you know what I mean? Or how you write
Every
now.
writer has the same thing, same story. I guarantee you, every writer I interview on this show has the same story. We've all written something, and we've all looked back on something and thought, "Wow, did I really write that?" And then, but we all grow. That's the thing. That's a really good thing about writing.
It's the most important thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit. So was there any sort of athletes or writers that you look to while writing any of these books for inspiration?
Yeah, definitely. I look to Rich Roll.
Yeah.
He's written quite a few books. David Goggins. I really love David Goggins because I love his mentality of, publishing it himself because it's his story. He doesn't, you know what I mean? I love that because, when you go to publishers and things, it changes a little bit. You don't necessarily gets worded the way that you want, and putting a story out there, that's more personal, coming from the heart. You want to kind of do it yourself if you can.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Simon Sinek, the list goes on and on. I love reading a lot of like self-help books, and not that I need help, but like it's good, like personal development style kind of
definitely.
books and all that kind of business. And yeah.
Awesome, man. So tell me a little bit about the type of lifestyle that you write about. And you sort of mentioned this before, but I think we can go into it a little bit more. And what types of benefits are you wanting to give people?
Basically, to have a fully functioning cognitive mind, eating clean and eating in the right order, and understanding about how food is actually fuel and what certain foods do for you, and how that affects, your blood and your oxygen, which all relates to how the brain actually functions and how you can recover and how you can run faster, and what foods are used as, kind of natural supplements in terms of like being able to hit your protein and how that's digested, and then what time of the day you should have that. And if you want to, run in 2 hours, have some beetroot before, which goes into the blood and opens up the airway so you can get more lung capacity through, your breathing, all these kind of things, man, that is really overlooked or not really taught, other than taking some pre-workout supplement or a pill, but you can get it all naturally.
Yeah, exactly. I've always thought that there's always a natural solution to these things.
Well, yeah, if you have a look at our ancestors who used to roam the land, I understand we've evolved and developed, but they got everything they needed from the ground.
Yeah, exactly.
And they were, hunters, and they were thriving, and, like they were strong. Now we live in a world of commercial consumerism, marketing, and you need this and that and this. And then once you have that, then you get this problem. So you need this and that. And it's all just a cycle of like rubbish.
Absolutely agree, man. So did you find you changed at all as a person while sharing your knowledge? Were there any new things you discovered about yourself in the process?
Yeah, totally. I mean, I find a lot of people are really receptive to my knowledge, and I think that comes from the fact that I'm a living example of what I write about and what I preach. I'm not somebody who's putting out information and I don't actually live that lifestyle. In terms of, I push myself to the limits, and like I'm on this diet, or like I live this kind of way and this is how I live. So people look up to me and then they go, oh, well, what's he doing? Like, and so that's why sharing my knowledge, people are so receptive to it. They try it. I mean, and I always say to people, look, this is like I said to you in the beginning, I like to try everything so that I can have a valid, response to, hey, yeah, this was my experience. But everyone's going to be different. Everyone has a different body and human anatomy, and that's what a lot of people got to understand is just because I live this way, it doesn't mean it's going to work for yourself. But here's my experience, this is how I did it, rather than, oh yeah, I heard about that, yeah, you should try it, blah blah blah. At least I've got some credibility. I've experienced it in how I did. But hey, give it a shot. It wasn't for me, it might be for you. Or hey, I do this. It's not giving advice, it's just suggesting.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right, man. That's great. So this kind of links to what you just said, But in terms of feedback that you've been getting so far from audience, what type of feedback have you been getting? Has there been a certain audience that have really loved your book?
Yeah, totally. So lots of feedback. I mean, we sold 6,000 copies in a couple of weeks, online ebook for the last release. And yeah, the feedback is what I've been getting is really amazing. And basically it's what I wanted, because people are coming to me with questions about, hey, I don't have this ingredient, can I use this? Or I'm having trouble with this process. I tried to make the book, and a lot of people say it's actually really easy to read and really easy to follow. A lot of other books, especially cookbooks, specifically, have all these certain processes which are a little bit more difficult or a little bit more higher level. I broke it down really so that anyone can pick it up. And I wrote like, chop it up, like rather than like, oh, julienne and slice and fine blah blah blah, and people are like, oh, what? I'm just like, chop it up, throw it in a bowl, all good, just using language that people understand. And it's funny because quite a few people actually overseas have bought it, and they're like, what does it mean, couple blah blah?
That's great, man.
Yeah, but it's good because the feedback that I'm getting is what I wanted, because it's allowing me to help people. And that's the reason why I did it, so I can help people cook better and feel better within their own home and make them feel comfortable to be able to live a healthier lifestyle. That's the whole reason why I, do what I do, is so that I can help people.
Awesome, man. That's great. So now that we've gone over your book a bit, you've got to tell us, are you planning on releasing a new book sometime soon? And if so, could you give us a bit of insight into this book?
Yeah, so I'm gonna release a whole bunch of series, but I'm still dealing with feedback from this. I don't want to do it just yet, but in the probably next 5 months or so, I'm gonna do another series, and I'm also going to release like another cookbook series, and then I will release an informational series as well. But what I'm doing at the moment is building my website. So there's going to be a lot of free information on there. There's going to be a lot of video content. I'm going to kind of use it as a library and a dictionary source, for health and nutrition. So stay tuned for that. It will be going live very soon.
That sounds awesome, man. It's been actually, sorry, I had to ask, could you please share with us how people can get in contact with you and get a hands-on copy of your book?
Absolutely, yeah. So best way to get in contact with me is through social media. So Instagram, my private channel is Plant Strong Jans, and then you'll see on there my business channel as well, Plants with Attitude. So I've got a cooking page, and then I've got my personal page as well. And there's a link on both in the bio to click buy now, and it's only $9.99. But then the hardcover release will be a little bit more in terms of, because it's going to cost a little bit more, and it's going to be nice, good quality.
Awesome, man. This conversation has been great. Thank you so much for joining me today.
You're welcome.
And anyone who's watching this video, if you haven't already, remember to check out the social links below. Everything Jansen just said, I'll attach below so you guys can check it out. Also, if you'd like to meet other awesome writers and learn about our journeys, don't forget to subscribe and like. But that's us for now, guys. Thanks heaps for watching. I'll catch you again soon.